My roommate loves to open the window for fresh air, insisting on it even when it's well below freezing. In my past life, I warned her that leaving the window open on a northern winter night could freeze someone to death, and she just scoffed at me. If you're frail, you need to exercise more. She's just being a spoiled princess. After being woken up by the cold several nights in a row, I bought a combination lock and sealed the window shut. She cut the chain, climbed onto the rooftop, and tearfully accused me of bullying her. I was disciplined by the school, branded a bully, and became a pariah wherever I went. Finally, one late night, I jumped. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day the cold snap arrived. Cold, a biting, bone-chilling cold. The north wind cut across my face like a blade. The pain jolted me back to consciousness. I opened my eyes to see my familiar bed, my familiar desk and chair, and that window, always left open, and there, in front of the window, was Zoe's smug face. Don't act like a princess if you weren't born one. You've got some nerve, locking the window. I'm going to make you regret this. Haha, look at the big bully. Haha, serves you right for messing with me. The voices overlapped, each word echoing and amplifying in my mind. Scene after scene replayed in my head. The fake tears on Zoe's face as she sobbed on the windowsill. The campus forum post titled Lillian, drop dead, perpetually marked as hot, and the undisguised looks of disgust coming from all directions. My fingers involuntarily clenched. The phone in my hand suddenly vibrated. A warning notification popped up on the illuminated screen. November 29th, cold wave warning. That's right, today is the first day of the cold wave's arrival. At this moment, Zoe, dressed in black, was leaning against the wall. The screen of the phone in her hand was also lit, yet her eyes were fixed intently on me, just like in our past life. What do you want? She said, the same words as in my past life. Back then, I climbed down from the bed and shut the window. I showed her exactly what I intended with my actions. Then, time and again, I was met with her mockery and her curses, and in the end, I was framed by her. But now, I just sat there and gave her a look. Not a word was spoken. TCH, who do you think you're fooling with that act? Zoe snorted and yanked the window open even wider. It felt like a deliberate provocation. Pam, by the window, let out a sharp hiss, and Yuki from the opposite bed shot me a pleading look. The message was crystal clear. They wanted me to close the window, but why should I be the one to do it? In my past life, I was the one who had to close it every single time, even though my bed was the farthest from the window. Pam and Yuki, whose beds were right next to it, never once did it. They could have reached out from their beds without even getting up. And that's not all. When Zoe falsely accused me of bullying her, when I defended myself and begged them to testify, they remained silent. With their silence, they sealed my guilt. That's it, I'm done being the nice guy. This time, I'm going to make every last one of them pay, too. Zoe, could you close the window a little? The temperature kept dropping, and the wind grew fiercer. The curtains around Pam and Yuki's beds swayed and billowed in the gusts. Finally, Yuki spoke. See, when she can't hold out any longer, she'll speak up on her own. No way. Zoe flatly refused, her gaze sweeping over Yuki with disdain. You need to open a window for fresh air. Proper ventilation clears the mind. Do you know why I'm in the top 3 of the class, and you can't even crack the top 10? Because you're not thinking straight. I'm doing this for your own good. Got it? Yuki's face flushed bright red in an instant, and she looked down, pulling the blanket tighter around herself. Pam, in the bed opposite mine, looked at me with red-rimmed eyes, biting her lip. She seemed on the verge of speaking, but held back. I just pressed down my hat, tightened my scarf, and climbed out of bed. I'm going to the library. My tone was perfectly calm, yet Pam and Yuki reacted as if they'd been jolted by something. They stared at me, dumbstruck, watching as my hand reached for the doorknob and I took a step out. Their mouths opened and closed, a tangle of emotions flashing in their eyes. Did they really think I'd be the same as before? Dream on? The door closed behind me. The hallway was warm. I walked slowly, feeling the warmth gradually return to my body. In the corridor near the library, I began to take off my layers, one by one, an extra long down coat, a wool scarf and hat, and leather gloves, a heavy bundle clutched in her arms, drawing curious glances from passers-by. You're wearing so many layers. Isn't it hot? It is. Of course it is. I want people to talk. We need to pique everyone's curiosity. Let them dig into it bit by bit. Why would someone bundle up like a mummy in a campus where the central heating is set to a cozy 26 degrees Celsius 79 degrees Fahrenheit everywhere? The impact of them uncovering the truth themselves is far greater than if I just went around complaining. Zoe, when everyone looks at you with strange eyes, how will you react? I can't wait to see it. 3. It was 6 in the evening when I got back to the dorm. The room was empty, and the window was still open, even wider than when I had left. In the howling wind, I could faintly hear someone in the next room complaining. They were saying the heating in the dorm was faulty, and it was colder inside than in the hallway. After just a short while standing in the wind, my throat was already starting to ache. I slammed the window shut and pulled the delivery from my backpack. It was a custom-made, windproof bed curtain I had ordered. Made from a material similar to a mall's entrance door, its insulation was top-notch, with the curtains drawn. I remained unshaken, letting the wintry gale and snow rage outside. After that, I lined the perimeter of the bed with long, hot water bottles, watching the mercury in the thermometer climb and finally settle into the comfortable range. I then climbed out of bed and reopened the window. The wind rushed in once more. Lillian, the dorm room door opened, and I turned to meet the eager gazes of Pam and Yuki. Are you closing the window? I knew it. I just knew you'd be the one to close it. You're the skinniest one in our dorm, of course you can't handle the cold. Zoe's whole argument is pure nonsense. You're the top student in our grade. For goodness sake, if you said to close the window, she'd definitely. Before she could finish, I was suddenly seized by a coughing fit. I couldn't stop, my face flushing red. Crouching on the floor, I looked up, my voice weak. But, didn't you all agree on it? It wouldn't be right to have everyone accommodate just me. No way. It was Zoe who insisted on opening it, Yuki said urgently, grabbing my arm as if she wanted to pull my hand over and close the window right then and there, as if I would ever give her the satisfaction. I pressed my full weight down on her, one hand on her shoulder and the other against her temple. My head is killing me. I need to sleep for a while. Dragging myself along, I made it back to my bed. I climbed in and pulled the curtain shut, all in one fluid motion. The air around me grew warm again as I burrowed under the covers and lay down. Outside the curtain, there was a clattering commotion. Yuki and Pam's voices were deliberately hushed, yet carefully pitched so every word was just loud enough for me to hear. What's she doing? Wasn't she always the one to turn it off before? And she calls herself the top of the class. She has zero empathy. You don't think she's still holding a grudge from last time we joked about her treating us to a feast, do you? It's only $800 per person, and her bonus is more than enough to cover it. Besides, she's the one who offered to treat us in the first place, if you ask me. Zoe should have outscored her on the final this time, so, all this resentment over a single meal. No wonder they sided with Zoe in my past life. It was never about fearing retaliation. They were willing participants all along. Perfect. My last bit of mental baggage is gone. For, crash, the sound of a heavy object hitting the ground was especially loud in the night. I opened my eyes and groped for my phone on the nightstand. 18 a.m. The confrontation came a bit earlier than in my last life. In my last life, I was jolted awake by the cold, only to find the window I'd specifically closed after Zoe went to bed had been opened again. Furious, I stormed over to her bed, yanked open her curtain, and shook her awake. Then came a huge fight that lasted all night, leaving neither of us any sleep. No, I peeked out and saw Pam's thermos on the floor. On the concrete floor, red dates and goji berries were scattered everywhere. The lid had come off the cup, and it went rolling and gurgling all the way to the dormitory door, leaving a wet trail, before hitting the door with a second thud. Let me get some sleep, will you? Zoe's curse rang out through the dorm as the lights flicked on. Spotting the object on the floor, she shot a venomous glare at Pam, who had poked her head out. Are you out of your mind? Sorry. I'm sorry. I was just too cold. My hand slipped, Pam explained in a small voice, her eyes red, as she climbed out of bed in her thin pajamas and scurried to pick up the thermos from the floor. The wind was fierce, making her shiver uncontrollably. She looked utterly pitiful. As she passed by my bedside, she looked up at me with a wounded expression, as if to say, won't you say something? But, why should I? When Zoe framed me, when the faculty disciplined me, when everyone pointed their fingers and whispered, you didn't say a word either, did you? What are you just standing there for? Do you want me to carry you to bed? Tears instantly streamed down Pam's face. Yuki, who had been on the bed, scrambled down in a flash, wrapped her arms around Pam with the down jacket, and muttered softly, we wouldn't be this cold if you hadn't opened the window. What did you say? Zoe demanded, but Yuki just hunched her shoulders and silently helped Pam back to bed. As she turned back to her own bunk, she shot me a look of pure resentment. Unbelievable. And I'm supposed to be the one to blame for this. I met her gaze calmly, my tone even and unruffled. Get some sleep. You've got an 8 a.m. class tomorrow. 5. Pam and Yuki were yawning nonstop when they got up in the morning, and they kept nodding off in class, catching the teacher's eye more than once. Zoe, on the other hand, was wide awake, though the back of her hand was covered in pinch marks, all self-inflicted during class to stay alert. Zoe came over to gossip after class. What happened in your dorm last night? You all look completely wiped out. Her gaze drifted to my lips, and her tone softened with concern. Your lips are so pale. Are you feeling okay? I made a point of covering it up with concealer this morning. Of course it looks pale. I gave a light laugh. covering my mouth as I coughed softly twice. It's nothing, just Pam's cup fell on the floor in the middle of the night, woken up in the middle of the night, and feeling a bit chilly on top of that. I just couldn't get back to sleep. No wonder, Zoe said excitedly. I knew I heard a sudden noise last night. It was your dorm, but how could it be cold? Our dorm's heating is pretty good. Zoe's reaction drew the attention of those around us. Through the crowd, I met Zoe's gloomy gaze and let out a soft sigh. I forced a wry smile onto my face. I'm not feeling well. I'm going to the infirmary, under the suspicious gazes of everyone. I quickly walked out of the classroom. As I passed by Zoe, I gave her a smile. Zoe, don't worry, let me build it up, piece by piece. I look forward to the day you're in the spotlight. 5. I returned to the dorm with the medicine from the infirmary, and as soon as I pushed the door open, I could tell the atmosphere was off. Both Pam and Yuki were standing, their faces wearing identical expressions of indignation. Zoe was sitting with her back to me. At the sound of the door opening, she turned around. Her eyes swept over me before finally settling on the bag of medicine in my hand, her tone dripping with sarcasm. Well, look who it is, another one. Come on, you need to sign this too. Zoe plucked the A4 sheet from Pam's grasp and lightly slapped it against my clothes. Looking down, my eyes were met with a few words printed in bold, black font, Dorm 306 window ventilation waiver. With a quick glance, I saw the gist of the agreement. All residents of room 306 consent to keeping the window open for ventilation at all times during their stay. Any health issues arising during the school term are unrelated to the open window. Each person is responsible for their own illness or any other mishaps, and Zoe bears no liability. At the bottom, 2 signatures were already in place. Pam, Yuki. The sheer force of the pen strokes reveals the signer's simmering resentment. I raised an eyebrow at Zoe. Are you sure? Unsure. I don't want you trying to scam me. Zoe lifted her chin, sweeping a contemptuous gaze around the room. You're all such weaklings. Your health is absolutely pathetic. It's barely even cold out and you're already whining about needing medicine. I'm not about to let you scam me. I nodded, tapped my finger on the agreement, and smiled at Zoe. All 3 of us are signing. You have to sign too, right? Zoe froze, clearly not having expected this reaction from me. Her eyes locked with mine. And after a long moment, she spoke through gritted teeth. Fine, I'll sign. Zoe pressed down with such force that the pen nearly tore through the paper. As the final stroke was made, she slammed the pen down with a heavy thud. There, are you satisfied now? The dorm room door was flung open, then slammed shut with force. The loud bang echoed down the hallway, prompting heads to pop out from neighboring rooms. Once they were sure Zoe was gone, Pam and Yuki closed in on me. Lillian, how could you have signed that agreement? That's a completely one-sided clause. Just because Zoe insisted on opening the window, she's made us all sick today. She's not cold because she's right by the heater, so she's just making the rest of us suffer. I listened quietly as the 2 of them complained. In my past life, they had never criticized Zoe so bluntly. It seems even a rabbit will bite when pushed too far. Even a scheming green tea type can be driven to a flustered rage, but it's still not quite there yet. Lillian, say something. What do you want me to say? I pointed at the signature on the agreement. You already signed this before I even got back. If you've all signed, what choice do I have? At the very least, I made sure Zoe signed her own name too. The 2 of them were instantly silenced, stammering for a long moment without managing a word, looking at their stifled, frustrated faces. I pointed to the still open window. Do you still open the windows to air the place out when Zoe's not here? 6. Bang. Half a month later, another loud crash echoed through the deep of the night. Then came the hissing sound of water gushing out. Not long after, Zoe let out a scream. The next second, the dorm room lights flicked on. I peeked up from behind my bed curtain to find the room in complete disarray. Hot water sprayed onto the ceiling, then rained back down, leaving a shallow pool of water on the floor. Zoe was soaked through. Pipe water streamed down her hair and skin, seeping into her clothes. A draft blew in through the window, and she shivered involuntarily. Suddenly, she leapt from the bed, barefoot. She splashed through the puddle and rushed to the window in a few quick steps. Bang. The window she had insisted on opening was now shut by her own hand. We should call maintenance, Yuki asked hesitantly, her gaze toward me filled with a plea. I nodded, glanced at the recording indicator on my phone screen, and dialed the dorm supervisor's number. The dorm supervisor arrived shortly after. They shut off the water valve for the entire floor. An hour later, the repairman arrived. It's frozen. That can't be right. The heating's been on for ages. Muttering to himself, the repairman checked the pipes once more before turning his gaze to us. Did you open the window? No. Zoe flatly denied it, then shot me a warning look. We didn't open the window, no way. Listen, you just can't open the windows in this kind of weather. If the heating feels too high, you can put out a basin of water in the room. Sir, we really didn't open the window. Zoe kept denying it. The repairman said nothing more, just gave her a long, hard look, packed up his tools, and spoke in an icy tone. This entire pipe needs to be cut out and replaced. I can't get the part now. I'll have to come back during the day, also. The heating for the entire floor will have to be shut off for a day. That's completely unacceptable. How are we supposed to survive this freezing weather without any heating? The commotion from the repairs had already drawn the attention of people from the surrounding dorm rooms. They had initially been standing outside their doors watching the spectacle, but the moment they learned the heating for the entire floor would be off for a whole day, the place erupted in an uproar. They crowded around the repairman, trying to get him to change his mind, but the repairman could only let out a helpless sigh. The plumbing on this whole floor is connected. Their room is at the very end of the line. If we can't fix it here, none of you will have water. All right, everyone back to bed. I'll try to get here as early as I can tomorrow. The maintenance worker walked off with the dorm supervisor, toolbox in hand. The people from the other rooms turned their attention back to our dorm. Are you out of your minds? Opening the window in this freezing weather. Whoa, what is this thing? 7, what are you looking at? Nothing to see here. Zoe snatched the liability waiver right out of their hands and shoved it onto the shoe rack by the door. She slammed the door shut, then turned to glare daggers at the three of us. Keep your mouths shut, or else. Zoe didn't finish her sentence. But we all knew what she meant. As the class's youth league branch secretary, she wielded a fair amount of authority. That's precisely why Pam and Yuki had been avoiding direct confrontations with her. A night of silence. Someone posted a photo on the campus confession wall. It was that water-damaged 306 dormitory window opening liability waiver. Even though it was the middle of the night, there were quite a few replies. What a bunch of idiots in that dorm. No way. Is this really the dorm room that caused the entire floor of Huiyuan to lose heating, over 30 degrees below zero, and they keep the window open all day? I'm impressed, seriously impressed. I doubt everyone was on board with that. I saw one of their roommates bundled up in layers during a big lecture the other day, and I remember thinking it was odd. I was still asleep when the repairman arrived. Someone had been knocking on the dorm door for a while. It wasn't until the dorm supervisor started shouting in her booming voice that I finally woke up. I threw on my down jacket and went downstairs, only to find Zoe's bed already empty. I knocked on the headboards of Pam and Yuki's beds to signal them to get up, and only then did I finally open the dorm room door. What's going on with your room? You're not the least bit worried that the heating's broken? I apologized profusely, explaining that I wasn't feeling well and had been sleeping groggily. Seeing my flushed and stuffy face, the dorm supervisor didn't press the issue further. She just brought the repairman in and gave me a warning. Now that it's been fixed, you mustn't open the window again. Forget the cost. What a hassle this is. You're absolutely right, but, oh well. Just as I was about to play the victim, a strange shriek suddenly came from behind me. I turned my head and saw the muscles on the right side of Yuki's face contorting in a bizarre way, pulling at her eye and the corner of her mouth. They twitched with every sound she made, creating a truly horrifying sight. Pam, who had just peeked out, froze for a moment before frantically pulling out her phone and pointing it at herself. The next second, she too began to scream. Her mouth was twisted, the corner pulled downward, and drool began to trickle from the side. Facial nerve paralysis due to cold exposure, that is, facial palsy. Fortunately, it's not severe. I'll write you a referral for acupuncture at the traditional Chinese medicine hospital. I accompanied the two of them to request leave and go to the hospital. Yuki cried the whole way. Her words were slurred, but her mouth never stopped moving. What am I going to do? Will my face stay like this forever, like Shanlin's wife with a malfunctioning language module? Pam, however, didn't cry. She just stared blankly out the window. Then, as the car came to a stop, she suddenly spoke. It's all Zoe's fault. She's the one to blame for all of this. While waiting for the two of them to finish their acupuncture, I sat on a chair in the hallway and anonymously submitted a post to the campus confession board. Exposé. Someone in Huiyuan dormitory forced a window open, causing a roommate's facial paralysis, the heating pipes to burst, and the entire building's heating to be shut off. The post blew up the moment it was published. Forget Huiyuan, just say it's room 306. They woke the whole floor up in the middle of the night. I know, I saw that post from last night too. I just knew someone must have been forced into it. Who would do that? That's so messed up. Aren't they afraid of karma coming back to bite them? I think I know who it is. Last time we had a big lecture with their major, it was pouring rain, and some lunatic insisted on opening the window. I saw the name on her book at the time, something like Z something. Zoe's information was quickly dug up. It spread like wildfire. Even while I was sitting in the hospital, a strange girl came up to me asking about it. So, you're the one from room 306, the one with the burst pipe. And you all signed that liability waiver willingly? Of course not. Zoe forced our hand. Pam and Yuki had just finished their treatment when they heard this question, and their pent-up fury instantly found an outlet. I listened to their frantic accusations, lowered my gaze, and curled the corner of my mouth. Zoe, brace yourself for the storm. 8. Who gave you permission to post that on the whiteboard? Take it down right now. The dorm room door had just swung open when a figure came rushing in a matter of moments. Zoe was in a full-on brawl with Pam and Yuki. I pretended to break up the fight, yelling for someone to get the dorm advisor while taking the chance to land a few cheap shots on all three of them in the chaos. The dorm advisor didn't arrive until Zoe had already yanked out a handful of Pam's hair. When she saw the scene before her, her face went pale with shock. All three of you, write a self-criticism. Everyone is writing one. Why should we? Yuki and I are the victims here. Pam pointed to the bald patch on her own head, while Yuki went a step further by pulling out a stack of medical reports and slamming them on the table. Zoe should be the only one writing a self-criticism. That's bullshit. You're the one in poor health. I knew you were trying to scam me. Don't forget, you all signed the waiver. Before she could finish, Zoe collapsed straight to the ground. Chaos erupted once again. The hospital test results came back quickly. Zoe had actually been sick for a while. It just presented as asymptomatic. The doctor ordered mandatory hospitalization because it was left untreated for so long. She now has severe pneumonia. Even with student health insurance covering part of the cost, the daily hospital bill still runs as high as $4,000. As for her, she'd be staying for at least 15 days. The medical bill is $60,000. Transfer it to me. In the dorm group chat, Zoe posted a payment request. Of course, nobody paid her any attention. Zoe, hurry up and send the money. Zoe, playing dead. Are we? Zoe, you're the ones who made me sick with anger. Zoe, don't even think about skipping out on the bill. Zoe, at Pam, at Yuki. After a long while, Pam tossed out a medical record. On the diagnosis report, the phrase caused by prolonged exposure to extreme cold was circled heavily in bright red highlighter. Pam, did the cold freeze your lungs and your brain? Pam, you have no idea how you got sick. Pam, you still owe me for my medical bills. Yuki, exactly, Yuki. You should cover the medical expenses for both Pam and me. That's $798 total. Zoe, on what grounds? Zoe, you all signed the agreement yourselves. Pam, well, didn't you sign it too? Scoffs. The dorm group chat fell silent, but my private messages started pinging one after another. Zoe, Lillian, you did this on purpose, didn't you? Zoe, you're so vicious. Zoe, you bitch. Watching Zoe's furious and flustered state, I calmly muted her notifications. Then I anonymously submitted another post to the campus confession wall. Would you pay the medical bills for a roommate who insists on opening the window in minus 30 degrees Celsius weather? 9. As expected, the online backlash against Zoe grew even more intense. When the counselor forwarded Zoe's donation link to the class group chat, everyone fell silent. Counselor, Zoe's family is going through a difficult time. We hope everyone can lend a helping hand. 5 minutes passed, then 10, half an hour passed. No one said a word. I clicked on the donation link. The list showed contributions of $500 from the counselor and $100 from the class monitor, but not a single other person had donated. The counselor sent me a private message. Lillian, why don't you kick off the donations? The amount doesn't matter. It's the gesture that counts. Could you also mention it to Pam and Yuki? With a cold smirk, I anonymously sent a document to the principal's email. The document contained all the information I had compiled. Zoe altering her comprehensive assessment grades to fraudulently obtain scholarships, accepting bribes by abusing her position, and the details of how she split the illicit gains with her academic advisor. In my past life, when Zoe accused me on the rooftop, the counselor slapped me without even hearing my side of the story. Afterwards, she went out of her way to smear my reputation in front of the school administration, teachers, and students. At the time, I couldn't understand why. Now that I've been reborn, I know. Zoe didn't have her own computer and would always help herself to ours, mine and my 2 other roommates, without a hint of shame, so I installed screen mirroring software on my laptop to stream everything on its display directly to my phone in real time. That's exactly how I got all those screenshots in the document. I opened the donation link, entered an amount of 0.01, and then typed a few words in the remarks field. Opening a window for ventilation helps keep your mind clear. Soon, the donation records refreshed, filled with rows upon rows of 001 entries, each with wildly different remarks, helping you breathe in colder air. You get what you pay for, and sometimes you pay for pure garbage. Could you give me a few extra points? I know how things work. Just open the window. Just open it. Zoe loves living in the ICU. With every refresh, a new wave of mockery would appear. Students with a simple moral compass abhor all forms of evil. Towards those they deem wicked, they spare no effort in unleashing their own malice. In my past life, I experienced it firsthand. Zoe, now it's your turn in this life. 10. The total donations ultimately came to a halt at 963.88 yuan. This was because Zoe, unable to withstand the mockery any longer, finally closed the donation link. Then, she resorted to her old tricks, playing the victim. It's just a shame that in her past life, she could stand on a high platform and command everyone's attention. This time, she can only lie in a hospital bed, take a few photos, and post a single social media update, even surrounded by malice. I will face everything with strength. No one paid her any attention. It was just that this particular WeChat moment got screenshotted and posted to the campus confession wall. Before long, Zoe was blessed with the lovely nickname Malice Miss. In a past life, she used tricks like this to pin the label of a bully on me. The same old trick, all over again. Just as she wished, she got bullied. Karma really does come full circle. Zoe's mother went to the school, hoping they would cover Zoe's medical expenses. But the school administration simply had security escort her out. Originally, out of humanitarian concern, the school would have covered the medical expenses for a financially struggling student like Zoe who fell seriously ill. But after I sent that report email, all of that became impossible. The college formed a special investigation team, and the counselor was suspended pending review. Everything he and Zoe had done in the past was brought to light on the day the disciplinary notice was issued. Zoe's mother came to the school with reporters and banners, demanding an explanation. This is an outrage. Prestigious university turns a blind eye to students harming their roommates, unable to distinguish right from wrong. They took the lead in bullying. It was originally an accusation against the school and the three of us, in the face of the black and white details laid out in the official notice. It was like a series of slaps that came right back to sting their own faces. The microphones and cameras turned toward Zoe and her mother. Their ugly faces were magnified for the entire nation to see. Even some kind-hearted donors who had initially contributed through the social fundraiser withdrew their support for Zoe after seeing the news. Unable to afford the medical bills, Zoe was forced to leave the hospital. When Zoe returned to the dorm, her former arrogance was gone, her face was deathly pale, and she had visibly lost weight. Yet her eyes remained just as dark and brooding. Lillian, you must be feeling pretty pleased with yourself, aren't you? You planned all of this, didn't you? She stared at me, closing the distance with each deliberate step. I have no idea what you're talking about. Noticing the movement in her sleeve, I shifted my weight and began backing towards the door. In the instant the blade flashed, the door swung open, in full view of everyone. I collapsed to the ground. Something struck Zoe's arm, and the fruit knife clattered to the floor with a sharp, metallic ring. Premeditated murder, with both eyewitness testimony and physical evidence. 11. After Zoe was expelled, the school introduced new regulations. One of the rules prohibits forcing roommates to accept any lifestyle habits detrimental to their health, with violators facing a major disciplinary demerit. Another rule strengthens the oversight of student cadres, strictly forbidding the abuse of authority for personal gain. The list of prohibited items during student council dorm inspections now includes fruit knives, and security checkpoints have even been installed at the entrance of each building. Pam and Yuki's facial paralysis has cleared up, but both were left with lingering aftereffects. When Pam smiles, the corner of her mouth twists a little, while Yuki's eyelid twitches whenever she blinks. I ended up being the only one who came out of the whole incident completely unscathed, perhaps out of jealousy, or perhaps because they sensed the motives behind my previous actions. Pam and Yuki applied to change dorms. When we met again, we were at a loss for words. When the new semester began, I applied for a study abroad exchange program. Standing on foreign soil, I looked up at the vast sky. I thought to myself, it was time for me to move on. Story 2. The campus heartthrob has a thing for real-life Barbies, especially those with swan-like necks, wasp waists, peach-shaped bottoms, and ample curves. In his past life, the heartthrob scoured confession walls searching for campus Barbie lookalikes. When her bestie saw the post, she became obsessed with cosmetic surgery to transform into a human Barbie and marry into wealth. I warned her out of genuine concern. Cosmetic surgery carries high risks, frequent complications, and requires costly maintenance that's beyond a college student's budget. After some hesitation, my best friend gave up on the idea. Then shockingly, Another girl at our school transformed into a real-life Barbie, prompting the campus heartthrob to publicly propose to her. Consumed by jealousy, my friend lured me into the woods, her eyes burned with rage. If it weren't for you, Grant would have married me. You've stolen my life as a wealthy socialite. She slashed my face repeatedly before finally plunging the knife into my heart. When I opened my eyes again, I'd been reborn on the day the campus heartthrob posted his real-life Barbie search on the confession wall. My eyes flew open, my back drenched in cold sweat. The familiar surroundings of my dorm room came into view. With trembling hands, I touched my face. No knife wounds, no bone-deep pain. Moira, why are you spacing out? Check the confession wall. Dahlia shoved her phone in my face, the screen displaying the latest post from campus heartthrob Grant, seeking the perfect real-life Barbie. Swan-like neck, if or waist, peach-shaped buttocks, and D-cup or larger bust. These words were identical to my past life, down to the last syllable. My heart pounded violently, threatening to burst through my ribcage. Reborn on the day the nightmare began. Grant's family is in real estate. Rumor has it they're worth over $100 million. Dahlia squealed, shaking my arm with dollar signs in her eyes. He's into Barbie dolls with swan necks, if or waists, peach butts and big boobs. Sounds like I was made for him, don't you think? I bit my lower lip hard. In my past life, Grant had posted the exact same confession wall. Dahlia immediately started plotting plastic surgery in her Cinderella story. I tried to talk her out of it, explaining how risky and expensive plastic surgery is, way beyond what regular college students can afford. After some hesitation, she gave up on the idea. But when another girl transformed herself into a real-life Barbie and caught Grant's attention, Dahlia completely lost it. If it weren't for you, Grant would have married me. You ruined my chance of being a trophy wife. She lured me into the woods, where the cold blade slashed across my face again and again. Blood blurred my vision, but her sinister grin remained vivid as yesterday. Moira, what's wrong? You look pale. Dahlia waved her hand before my eyes. I quickly composed myself, forcing a smile. It's nothing, just thinking you're right. Grant's such a catch, definitely worth pursuing. Dahlia's eyes lit up. You think so too? She tilted the mirror back and forth with a slight frown. But my nose isn't perky enough, my chin isn't sharp enough, and my chest isn't full enough. Not to mention the surgeries can't be done all at once, lying on that cold operating table multiple times. What if something goes wrong? Just thinking about it gives me chills. Dahlia was the quintessential southern girl, plain-faced, flat-chested, yet built with the broad frame of a northern lass. She was galaxies apart from the Barbie doll types Grant usually fancied. Watching her feigned distress, I smirked inwardly. I was reborn, so she knew it too. I fell for that innocent act of hers in my past life. A tidal wave of hatred surged through me, this time around. I won't waste my breath pleading like before. The sweetest revenge is letting her fall into her own trap. Plastic surgery has become so advanced these days, I murmured, absently swiping my phone screen. Just last week I saw this news about a girl who got transformed into a real-life Barbie and married into a wealthy family. Her husband absolutely dotes on her. Dahlia's eyes lit up with an almost frightening intensity. Seriously, which clinic did she go to? Show me the article right now. I pretended to scroll through my phone while stealing glances at her increasingly excited expression. Found it, I said casually, clicking on a random plastic surgery clinic ad. This place seems famous. All their case studies show successful results. Dahlia snatched my phone and began rapidly scrolling through the before and after photos. This nose, this figure, absolutely perfect, she murmured, zooming in repeatedly on the details. I've made up my mind. Dahlia suddenly looked up with fierce determination. I'm getting plastic surgery. I will become the trophy wife of a wealthy family. I nodded with a smile. You're already so beautiful. You'll be absolutely flawless after the procedure. Grant will adore you. Dahlia threw her arms around me excitedly. Moira, you're the best. You'll support me, right? I hugged her back, my lips curling into an icy smirk where she couldn't see. Of course. I'll always be here for you, this time. I'm going to watch you destroy yourself step by step with my own eyes. That's insane. A full nose job costs $30K, breast augmentation is $50K, and that's not even including all the miscellaneous fees. Dahlia suddenly threw her phone down and shouted furiously, why don't they just rob me instead? But if I don't get plastic surgery, how can I become a real-life Barbie? How would Grant ever like me? She tugged at her hair in frustration, her eyes burning with resentment. At least she knows her place. Grant was our classmate. Dahlia fell for him at first sight when the semester began, but Grant changed girlfriends more often than his clothes, and each was stunningly beautiful. Dahlia didn't stand a chance. She couldn't even score a seat behind Grant in class. This is a golden chance to get close to him. No way I'm missing it. Right on cue. Dahlia rushed over, grabbed my arm and pleaded, Moira, front me the cash. Consider it an early investment. When I marry into money, you'll bask in the reflected glory too. Holy moly, not even pretending anymore. In my past life, Dahlia always treated me like a walking ATM, making me foot the bill for her and cover her expenses. Back then, she'd at least sweet-talk me into willingly paying for her, no matter how expensive it got. But in this lifetime, dream on. But, I trailed off hesitantly. But what? Dahlia's face showed the impatience of someone whose scheme had failed. Don't tell me you want to follow my lead, get plastic surgery to become a Barbie girl and marry into wealth. Her eyes were full of scrutiny. No, my parents put a spending limit on my card, only 1,000 a month. Afraid I can't help you with that. Dahlia sprang to her feet. If you're broke, what am I supposed to do? Where would I get that kind of money? I looked puzzled. Didn't you say your parents transferred you tens of thousands just recently? You even said they told you to spend it however you wanted. Dahlia paused. Oh, I almost forgot about that, but spending so much all at once. Seeing her hesitation, I added fuel to the fire. If they knew you were marrying into wealth, they wouldn't care about this money. Besides, once you're with Grant, money won't be an issue. You'll practically be a society wife from a wealthy family. Just like you said, it's an initial investment. My words struck a chord with Dahlia. Her face instantly lit up with joy as she happily continued browsing plastic surgery clinics, but I knew that money was actually the bride price her parents gave to her sister-in-law. Their bank account numbers were only one digit apart, resulting in an accidental transfer. Dahlia was just being stubborn and saving face when she told us it was her parents' allowance, with Yona's wedding just a month away. I couldn't wait to see how Dahlia would handle this mess. The next day, Dahlia pulled me aside mysteriously into a corner of our dorm. I found this super reliable clinic, she whispered excitedly. It costs half the price of regular hospitals and promises full recovery in just a week. I nearly burst out laughing reading the messages on her phone. That wasn't a proper hospital at all, but an underground clinic preying on naive young women. In a past life, a senior student had botched cosmetic surgery there that nearly disfigured her. By the time she tried to seek justice, the place had vanished. Really? That's fantastic. I played along. When are we going? Tomorrow. Dahlia's eyes sparkled with anticipation. I've booked the full package. Nose job, lip fillers, jaw contouring, breast augmentation, liposuction. Once I'm done with the procedures, Grant won't be able to resist me. I'll be living the high life as a wealthy socialite. Anything I want will be mine for the taking. This isn't plastic surgery, it's a complete head transplant. Getting all those procedures done at once. That's hardcore. Isn't this too rushed? I feigned concern. Maybe we should try just 1 or 2 procedures first. No way. Dahlia snapped. Grant's choosing the campus living Barbie next week. I need my full transformation before then. I watched her with cold amusement. Go ahead, ruin yourself. This time, I won't stop you. On the day of the procedure, I considerately accompanied Dahlia to that back alley clinic, tucked away in a shabby alley. The crooked sign read Beautiful Life Plastic Surgery. Pushing the door open, we were hit by the pungent smell of disinfectant. Are you sure this hospital is legit? I asked pointedly, giving Dahlia one last chance to back out. Absolutely. A female doctor with an overdone hyaluronic acid face emerged. We've performed thousands of procedures with 0 failures. 2. Then she abruptly changed her tone. We don't serve clients who distrust doctors. That's basic disrespect. I shut my mouth awkwardly. Dahlia shot me a glare. Doctor, she's just jealous of me. Pay her no mind. She kept buttering him up. I trust you completely. Turn me into a real-life Barbie. The more exaggerated, the better. The doctor beamed as he pulled out a photo album. How about this? The ultimate influencer face. Guaranteed to turn heads. The girl in the photo had an absurdly pointy chin, a sky-high nose, and unnaturally inflated breasts, like a living silicone doll. Perfect. Dahlia's eyes sparkled with excitement. This is exactly what I want. Signing, payment, and entering the operating room, all done in one smooth motion. Watching Dahlia's eager retreating figure, a cold smirk curled at the corner of my lips. I wonder if Dahlia will still be smiling after this. A week later came the day to remove the bandages. It was also the day Grant would choose the campus's real-life Barbie. Dahlia carefully unwrapped the bandages. To everyone's surprise, the surgery turned out quite successful. Her exaggerated features paired with that heart-shaped face gave her an uncanny resemblance to a real-life Barbie doll. Dahlia admired herself in the mirror, thrusting out her surgically enhanced chest. Told you I picked the right clinic, Moira. Just wait till you see me marry into wealth and live in luxury. With that, she strutted out of the dorm on her augmented curves. Roommate Very leaned in and whispered, Dahlia's got serious guts to go that far. Our other roommate Holly shot us a sideways glance. Dahlia's right, you're just jealous. I actually laughed out loud, like someone wasn't all over Dahlia with questions and favors when she came back from cosmetic surgery. Seems someone's even more jealous than we are. Very and I exchanged a glance, instantly understanding each other, without a word. We ignored Holly and followed Dahlia instead. I trust very completely. In my past life, she was the first to discover Dahlia had taken me to the woods, but by the time she found me, I'd already stopped breathing. Yet Holly helped Dahlia fabricate an alibi to evade police investigation. This time, I'll make them turn on each other like rabid dogs. Grant leveraged his family's wealth and influence to stage an extravagantly lavish beauty pageant. The rarely used auditorium now proudly displays a banner for the Campus Live Barbie competition. The entrance was packed with curious onlookers. Grant's lackey came out to shoo people away. Men, scram, this beauty pageant is for girls only. Our Grant has no interest in sissies. Thank heavens. I was just wondering how to sneak in. Out of the corner of my eye, I spotted Holly tagging along stealthily. The backstage was packed with heavily made-up girls. Dahlia strode in with her head held high, instantly commanding everyone's attention. Damn, is she a real-life Barbie or what? Looks like she's the undisputed human Barbie. Pfft, her chin could puncture those implants. Since when did Grant, the campus heartthrob, have such tacky taste? Exactly, the human Barbie thing's probably just a front. What he really wants is someone genuine and kind. Dahlia dismissed all the negative comments as pure jealousy. She flipped her hair smugly, basking in everyone's attention. I couldn't help rolling my eyes. Money and power really made them see Grant through rose-colored glasses. Only scumbags could come up with such despicable tricks. They're just brainwashing themselves. When the beauty pageant began, Dahlia volunteered to go first. She wore a skin-tight mini leather dress that left little to the imagination, showcasing her curves to perfection. She swayed on stage with serpentine grace. Grant felt a surge of heat. His gaze locked onto her like a magnet, his Adam's apple bobbing uncontrollably. 3060, definitely 3060, he murmured to the judge beside him, just loud enough for the front row to catch. The audience erupted in raucous laughter, taking it as a compliment. Dahlia swayed even more enthusiastically. Grant, she approached the judge's table and deliberately leaned forward. Do I qualify to be your real-life Barbie? The plunging neckline left nothing to the imagination. Grant sprang to his feet and grabbed her wrist. You're the one. I stood in the corner, watching the farce unfold with cold detachment. That girl who'd had successful plastic surgery in my past life was chosen by Grant in the same humiliating public manner, but no one knew Grant merely saw her as a plaything. A month later, the girl got dumped after he grew tired of her. Even worse, her botched plastic surgery caused facial nerve necrosis. She couldn't even make expressions before dying from infection. Moira, did you see that? Dahlia rushed off stage and hugged me. Grant chose me. I'm going to be a society wife. Her fake breasts were digging painfully into me, fighting back nausea. I forced a smile. Congratulations. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Holly standing nearby with venom in her gaze. The real show was just beginning. That very night, Grant took Dahlia to a hotel. She didn't stagger back to the dorm until dawn, reeking of cheap perfume and alcohol, her neck littered with hickeys. He's taking me to meet his parents, she squealed, shaking me awake. The title of Mrs. Grant will be mine. I nodded blearily, so happy for you, while secretly sneering inside. That's exactly how Grant deceived the girl in her past life too, meeting the parents, just taking her to a private club for his friend's entertainment. Dahlia suddenly let out a hysterical laugh and pulled out her phone to show me the photo album. Grant nestled against her with infatuation, his hands cupping her ample bosom. Look how he's fallen for me. Soon I'll be living the high life. I responded half-heartedly. Good for you. By the way, Dahlia suddenly dropped her voice. Grant prefers more exaggerated Barbie aesthetics. I'm thinking of getting smiley lip fillers and elf ear surgery. 3. I feigned surprise. Again, you just had surgery not long ago. What do you know? She snapped impatiently. No pain, no gain. She showed me her phone balance, running out of cash. Can you spot me some? I looked uneasy. My parents haven't sent this month's allowance yet. Trash. Dahlia stormed out, slamming the door behind her. The next day, I spotted Dahlia sneaking into the bathroom with a camera in hand. It reminded me of the nude loan case study discussed during last week's class meeting. I see it clearly now. Dahlia would stop at nothing to marry into wealth. After her second cosmetic surgery, Dahlia's face became completely frozen. Her smile resembles a grimace. Her tears look like laughter, but Grant seemed even more infatuated. He started taking Dahlia to upscale venues and showering her with luxury gifts. Dahlia got carried away. She began skipping classes, staying out all night, and bossing her roommates around. We became her free babysitters. I gasped in shock. Holly put on a compliant front, but was secretly seething with rage. I watched coldly from the sidelines, occasionally fanning the flames. Dahlia, Grant's exes all had great fashion sense. Maybe you should. Dahlia, I heard Grant's mother prefers cultured and refined girls. Without hesitation, Dahlia took out another loan to enroll in etiquette classes, floral arrangement, and equestrian lessons, transforming herself into a Barbie-esque socialite overnight. Grant seemed utterly smitten, making his first official relationship post featuring Dahlia on social media, a 9-square grid, every frame filled with their intimate moments. One more glance and I feel contaminated to my core, Dahlia disagreed smugly. See, this is how a domineering CEO spoils his woman. No use being jealous, Grant is mine, and none of you can take him away. She crossed her legs, the padding in her hips bulging unnaturally with the movement. The more you look, the more horrifying it becomes. Grant said today's our official announcement day and invited you to the party. The dorm has Holly and Very besides her, yet she only told me specifically what's her real agenda. I politely declined. Thanks but no thanks, I'm swamped with studying for midterms. Dahlia scoffed. What's the damn point of studying? A month's slave wages can't even buy me one bag. Grant's lavish generosity was making Dahlia lose sight of her actual standing. Easy for you to say. But if I bomb my midterms, my parents will cut me off completely. How am I supposed to give you a wedding gift when you marry Grant? Dahlia softened. At least you know your place. Just then, the usually quiet Holly suddenly chimed in. Dahlia, could you take me to the party? You know I've never been to one of these before. I want to see how the world works, not be looked down upon. She kept her head down, meek as a mouse. Dahlia gave her a sidelong glance. You don't drag down our standards. Our party isn't open to just any Tom, Dick, or Harry. Both Holly and Dahlia came from rural backgrounds. The difference was, Holly carried an especially heavy chip on her shoulder, full of resentment yet plagued by insecurity. In her past life, she was no stranger to scheming behind the scenes. Now she's taking the initiative to join Dahlia. I'll definitely give her a helping hand, I reassured Dahlia. Holly is part of our dorm family, practically your own kin. If none of us show up for such an important occasion today, won't Grant think we don't support your relationship? Very chimed in immediately. Exactly, I've got a part-time job today, no time at all. Holly's clearly the best choice. After some thought, Dahlia finally relented to our persuasion, but not without a warning to Holly. Don't even think about gold digging. Embarrass me today, and you'll regret it. Clenching her fists in restraint, Holly swallowed her pride and muttered, fine. After that day, Dahlia began spending increasingly more time in the dorm, true to his scumbag nature. Grant, ignoring calls and leaving WeChat messages unread, it's like they've vanished off the face of the earth. Dahlia was completely unreachable. Holly spent increasingly less time in the dorm. My well-intentioned inquiry only earned Dahlia's furious screaming. That bitch Holly actually hooked up with Grant while I was in the bathroom. If I hadn't come back in time, his damn clothes would have been off already. Grant's just infatuated with her for now. When she gets back, I'm gonna scratch her face off. Speak of the devil and he shall appear. 5. No sooner had the words been spoken than Holly returned to the dorm, loaded with shopping bags. After just a few days apart, she turned ghostly pale, paired with her golden cascading curls. At first glance, she looked more like a living Barbie doll than Dahlia ever did. Dahlia completely lost it. She lunged forward, screaming, you backstabbing bitch, I brought you to that party out of kindness, and this is how you repay me. Give Grant back to me. Holly shed her earlier timidity, looking down at Dahlia with contempt. Grant said I'm his perfect living Barbie doll. You're just his plaything. That plastic surgery face is downright disgusting. I turned my gaze to Holly. You won't believe it until you see it. Turns out she's got such great natural features. She used to be so tan that people overlooked her looks. Now that she's fairer, her perfectly symmetrical facial features really stand out. A natural-born beauty. Seeing Dahlia's devastation, Holly smirked triumphantly. He even promised to have children with me. After all, my pure genetic pedigree is the only worthy match for the matriarch of the Grant family. Dahlia burst into laughter. So what? I've already swiped several used condoms when he wasn't looking, all brimming with his sperm. Who gets pregnant first remains to be seen. Me, what kind of twisted logic is this? Holly stormed out after Dahlia's provocation, leaving just the two of us in the dorm again. Doing the math, Dahlia's debt repayment deadline is approaching. To make matters worse, her parents were already suspicious that the dowry had been mistakenly transferred to her, so I asked, are you really trying to use pregnancy as a stepping stone? Dahlia scoffed. Do I look stupid? Why would I bear his child? Or do you think he'd prefer incontinence and a prolapsed uterus? Don't be naive, men like him are only good for money, not love. Heartbreakers. I was utterly shocked. When did Dahlia figure this out? Is she really going to let go just like that? Just as expected, Dahlia walked up to Holly's spot, casually grabbed a few unopened bags, and strutted out of the dorm like she owned the place. Before leaving, she turned her head toward me and said, wait for my good news. Dahlia returned to the dorm with an even more swollen and reddened face. Strangely enough, she looked even more beautiful and captivating than when she'd left that afternoon. The moment she saw me, she squealed with excitement. Grant's gonna be completely smitten by me now, I retorted. Did you get more plastic surgery again? Dahlia snapped. Such a provincial mindset, always assuming it's about cosmetic procedures. What I did this time is 100 times more potent than surgery, guaranteed to make him weak in the knees. I hesitated before asking, don't tell me you got intimate injections. From what I know, some working girls get those G-spot shots to attract more clients. 6. My eyes involuntarily darted toward Dahlia's lower half. That's just too bold. To my surprise, Dahlia burst into uncontrollable laughter. Oh, you actually know about this stuff, planning to go commercial with it. Just kidding. Then with a mysterious smile, she stuck out her crimson tongue at me. I jumped in fright. She actually got a snake tongue piercing. To impress Grant, she's even dabbled in niche body mods. Then again, someone who went full body plastic surgery from the start would stop at nothing. Never thought Dahlia would be even bolder than I imagined. She lifted a silver briefcase and placed it on the table. Inside were pre-filled syringes with liquid. My heart started pounding violently in an instant. It took me a long moment to regain my composure. Dahlia, She seemed pleased with my reaction. These are snake venoms. They can preserve youth eternally. Interesting. I'd seen this method in a Hong Kong movie before. Highly effective, but with severe side effects. Dahlia injected herself with snake venom right before my eyes. The next instant, she radiated such vitality that it drew people irresistibly closer. Her forked tongue flickered out like a serpent's. My skin crawled with goosebumps. Dahlia glanced at her phone. Grant's pushing me to meet up. Don't wait for me tonight. If the dorm monitor asks, just say I'm with Grant. This wasn't about informing the dorm monitor. It was clearly meant for Holly's ears. My eyes drifted to the calendar hanging on the wall. The drama is heating up. Dahlia hadn't returned to the dorm for days. She kept secretly sending Holly intimate photos with Grant, driving her crazy, nearly drove her to madness. It wasn't until Monday morning that Dahlia staggered back to the dorm, her feet swollen and barely clinging to life. Her body was covered in dark bruises. One could only imagine how intense their battle had been, and Dahlia now carried an even more venomous aura about her, chilling yet captivating. She pulled out wads of cash from her purse and scattered them across the floor. See this? They gave me all of this, jewelry, sports cars, mansions, everything I could ever want. It suddenly dawned on me, Grant had handed her over. 7. This exact scenario played out in a past life. After Grant passed the girl to other spoiled rich kids, she returned with hefty hush money too. Just like her, Dahlia had compromised too. She muttered to herself, they say I'm beautiful, enchanting, that they can't go a day without me. What does it matter who I sleep with, alone or with many? I don't care. All I want is money, to marry into wealth, to rise above them all. The last words tore from her throat in a raw scream. Very, and I exchanged glances. We quietly retreated toward the dorm entrance. Unexpectedly, an overwhelming force shoved us back. 2 men and a woman stormed into the dormitory. It's Dahlia's parents and her brother. Seems they've all seen the text I sent. Dahlia's mother yanked Holly out in one swift move, screaming, "You worthless brat! How dare you pocket your sister-in-law's bride price? What a disgrace to our family. How could I have raised such a spendthrift daughter?" With that, she delivered over a dozen rapid-fire slaps, her hands moving at terrifying speed. Within moments, Holly's face swelled up grotesquely. Dahlia cowered behind me, trembling like a leaf. I piped up timidly, "Auntie, you've got the wrong person. Dahlia's right here." Holly and Dahlia had similar height and build. No wonder Dahlia's mother mistook them. Seizing the moment, Very pushed Dahlia forward. "She's right here." Dahlia's mother froze momentarily, eyeing her up and down. "So you're the worthless brat. What happened to you? Turned into some screen siren now. You can hardly recognize Dahlia's original face now." The entire room erupted in uproar. Honestly wouldn't have noticed if nobody pointed it out. Jonas slapped Dahlia hard across the face, instantly dislocating her nose. "You dare spend my damn money on plastic surgery?" Dahlia covered her face, still in shock. Dahlia's father grabbed her arm, leering at her. "Look how you've filled out in just days. Been passed around by men, haven't you?" Dahlia was still wearing that skimpy outfit she'd worn for Grant, barely more than scraps of fabric. Dahlia's mother yanked her by the pointed ear. "You little harlot, even seducing your own father now. Got a death wish? Hand over the money now. Your sister-in-law is carrying the golden heir in her womb, or do you think we'd let her marry into this family without a dowry?" Dahlia snapped in defiance. "I don't have a penny." Dahlia's mother shrieked furiously. "No money? Then go sleep around. Just honey trap some rich fool, that'll get you cash quick." I was dumbstruck. "Like father, like son," I exclaimed. "Dahlia, you never told them you're dating a rich second-generation heir." I promptly showed them the official relationship announcement on my social feed, then pointed at the scattered banknotes beneath Dahlia's seat. "Didn't you say his family's in real estate, a 9-level rich? He spent a fortune on you, and they say he'll give you houses, cars, money, anything you want, he'll deliver." Dahlia's mother's eyes gleamed as she scrambled on the floor, gathering the bills. "You silly girl, why didn't you tell me sooner? What a catch!" Landing such a wealthy son-in-law, our family struck gold. After verifying the authenticity of the Grant family heir online, Yona beamed with joy. Sweetie, why didn't you tell me earlier? That was just your brother acting rashly. Your nose got messed up from my punch. I'll take you to get it fixed properly. 8. Dahlia's father rubbed his hands eagerly as he approached. Dahlia, sweet talk that Grant fellow into returning your sister-in-law's dowry money first. His eyes darted around cunningly. Better yet, get him to fork over a few million more, buy your brother a villa and a Panamera to go with it. Let's just consider this matter closed, and we won't hold it against you. Exactly. Dahlia's mother clutched the picked-up banknotes tightly. For the Grants, this petty sum is just pocket change. Dahlia slowly lowered her hand from her face, her smile chilling. I was planning to introduce you to some wealthy socialites after I married into money, who knew you'd be so fond of your sister-in-law. That very night, they took her to the hospital for an abortion and called off the engagement in one swift move. Yona couldn't wait. When are you introducing me to that rich beauty you mentioned? Dahlia, haste makes waste. I need to carefully pick the right one for you. Dahlia rested in the dorm for several days after her reconstructive surgery. Very and I tried to stay out of sight. At this point, Dahlia's basically reaping what she sowed, but I never expected Holly to be the final nail in her coffin. Holly sat on her bunk, fingers flying across the screen as a sinister smirk played on her lips. Dahlia, she suddenly spoke with feigned shock. Someone posted your photos on the campus forum. Oh my god, is this really you? Dahlia whipped her head around and snatched Holly's phone. On the screen was a series of lightly censored photos. She lay on the operating table as doctors performed breast augmentation surgery. There were also several nude loan photos, though private parts were blurred. Her face remained clearly visible. Shocking headline: Plastic surgery gold digger resorts to nude loans for rich husband. Private photos leaked. Who posted this? Who the fuck posted this? Dahlia shrieked hysterically, her fingers crushing the phone. Holly feigned concern, shaking her head. No idea. It's anonymous. Dahlia, you didn't actually take out nude loans, did you? Dahlia snapped her head up, venom dripping from her glare as she locked eyes with Holly. It's you? She lunged forward, yanking Holly's hair viciously. You bitch. Was it you? Holly cried out in pain, shoving her away. Have you lost your mind? I was trying to help you, and this is how you repay me. Help. Dahlia sneered, digging her nails into Holly's arm. You've always been jealous of me, ever since Grant chose me. You've wanted me dead. Holly finally dropped the act, wrenching free with a cold laugh. Jealous? Of what? Being Grant's blow-up doll, selling your dignity for cash. I'm the real-life Barbie, yet you always steal my spotlight. No wonder Grant dumped you. Dahlia's pupils contracted violently as she raised her hand and slapped her hard across the face. Holly's head snapped to the side, a trickle of blood at the corner of her mouth. Yet she smiled with venomous glee. You actually think Grant would marry you? Dahlia, last night at the bar, he had his arm around another woman, calling you nothing but an animated silicone doll. Bullshit. Dahlia grabbed the glass from the table and hurled it at Holly. Dahlia had completely lost her mind. Determined to prove Grant would marry her, she increased the dosage of snake venom injections, from every 2 days to daily, and now hourly injections. Dahlia was completely hooked. Her face began to fester. The side effects of the serpent's venom hit faster than anticipated. Something seemed to writhe beneath her skin. Her once delicate jaw darkened as her entire face swelled into a festering mask of serpentine scales. The last time Grant saw her, he vomited on the spot. Fuck, get the hell away from me. He covered his nose and stumbled back 3 steps. What the fuck is that on your face? Dahlia tried to explain, but her jaw had locked up completely. Only muffled whimpers escaped her frozen lips. Her trembling hand reached for Grant, only to be violently shoved away. Get the hell away from me. Grant pulled out his phone. Security, drag this crazy bitch out. She stood in the rain, her makeup washing away to reveal bruised purple skin and contorted muscles. His phone vibrated violently with a debt collector's message. Pay up now or we'll send that video to your parents. Her fingers clenched the phone with white-knuckled fury as her eyes darkened with malice. I'll destroy you all. She drifted back to school like a hollowed-out ghost. Yona and his crew were already waiting for her at the school gates. Yona charged at her. You bitch. That was my son you made me abort. The doctor said I have oligospermia and this is my only son. You owe me a son. Dahlia turned mechanically, her decaying lips twisting into a grotesque smile. Big bro. Giving up on your sugar mommy now. Fuck you. Yona hurled a brick. The Grant group just issued a statement saying they don't even know you. Dahlia's mother suddenly shrieked and lunged forward. You've deceived us so cruelly. She frantically yanked Dahlia's hair. Give back the bride price. Give me back my grandson. In the chaos, the silicone prosthetics on Dahlia's face became grotesquely disfigured, neither human nor ghost, a monster sight. The counselor and campus security quickly arrived at the scene. Dahlia, given your repeated class absences, missed exams, refusal to reform despite warnings, bullying of classmates, and involvement in nude loan scams, you've severely violated school regulations. You are hereby expelled from this institution. Dahlia's raised head suddenly drooped low, uncharacteristically quiet. She packed her things and left the school without a fuss, upon learning of Dahlia's actions. Her family immediately cut ties, fearing it might affect Yona. I thought that was the end of it. 9. Until a month later, when Holly was found dead in her rented apartment, standing outside the morgue, I watched through the glass as the coroner lifted the white sheet. My stomach lurched violently. Holly's once haughty face was now mottled with bruises, her lips stitched into a grotesque smile. The victim's last text message was sent to you. The detective's piercing gaze locked onto me. Do you know where Dahlia is now? I shook my head mechanically, my back already drenched in cold sweat. Dahlia had truly lost it, even more unhinged than in her past life. The police had Dahlia on a citywide manhunt, yet she'd vanished like smoke. Then on that same ominously overcast afternoon as before, my phone screen lit up. Moira, it's time we settled our score. Meet me at the usual spot, or I'll slaughter your entire family. I stared at my phone, a chill running down my spine. The usual spot, that same grove where she murdered me. I arrived at the grove early, hiding both my voice recorder and self-defense weapons. Dahlia appeared soon enough. I could barely recognize her. Her meticulously maintained Barbie doll look had completely collapsed, overfilled cheeks now sunken, revealing the irregular contours of subcutaneous fillers. The most horrifying part was the serpentine patterns creeping up her neck, a lingering effect of her reckless snake venom treatments. You're here. She laughed nervously. Do you know why I chose this place? I stepped back slowly. Why? Because killing you here would be so convenient. Her face twisted suddenly. Just like in our past life, my blood ran cold. She got reincarnated too? Surprise. Dahlia cackled madly. I'm back too. She brandished the knife. Last life you stopped me from getting plastic surgery, making me lose Grant. This life you pushed me into it, ruining my entire existence. I steadied myself. Your vanity was your own undoing. Shut up, she screamed, lunging forward. I was ready, sidestepped and pulled out my pepper spray. Dahlia shrieked, clutching her eyes, seizing the moment. I wrestled the knife away and pinned her down. You think you're the only one who remembers past lives, I whispered in her ear. I remember exactly how you killed me too, after being reborn. Do you really think I'm still the same person I was before? Dahlia struggled violently. But I'm not like you. I sneered. I'll let the law punish you properly. In the blink of an eye, the piercing wail of police sirens tore through the woods. Dahlia's face contorted violently as she thrashed like a wild animal. You called the cops. I warned you. I pinned her down with all my strength. This time I won't repeat past mistakes. When the detective stormed in, Dahlia was screaming hysterically. You don't understand. I was supposed to be a wealthy socialite. It's all Moira's fault. Her breast implants ruptured during the struggle, leaking silicone that mixed with blood and soaked through her clothes. Dahlia was sentenced to life imprisonment. When I visited her in prison, she had already lost her mind. She kept babbling about becoming a wealthy socialite, stepping out of prison. The sunlight blinded me. The grudges spanning 2 lifetimes were finally settled. In this life, I'll cherish my hard-won fresh start. The end. Story 2. In my past life, I rescued the fallen Phoenix god. To repay my kindness, he granted me the position of concubine. A year later, I bore his divine heir and was elevated to principal wife, while my younger sister became the White Tiger Demon's concubine. She whispered to me that the White Tiger was impotent and ill-tempered. I saved her from the tiger's den, yet she sought to replace me. She laced my tea with deadly poison. When I came to, she'd already rescued the Phoenix Lord. Little did she know, this so-called debt of gratitude was nothing but an elaborate scheme. The Phoenix Lord's temple housed 100 concubines who had once aided him. For the Phoenix kin, childbirth meant enduring searing flames, a trial where few survived, who'd willingly die or bear his children without being manipulated. The ferocious white tiger is actually an innocent little kitten. 1. As everyone knows, foxes excel in the art of seduction. Few remember that 9-tailed foxes were once symbols of divine blessings. The 9-tailed fox clan once possessed ancient demon-banishing arts, but the clan elders grew corrupt, only knowing to offer their women in marriage to curry favor with powerful families. Few were willing to endure the rigorous study of these mystic arts. I'm the last 9-tailed white fox in our clan who still masters the complete arcane arts, yet still couldn't escape the fate of political marriage. This time, my sister and I are heading to the stronghold of the mightiest demon in these lands, the White Tiger. If we can win his favor, our clan will never fear the demon wolf tribe's raids again. The airship to White Tiger Mountain is ready, but my sister is nowhere to be seen. Someone in the crowd whispered. I saw her heading to the back hills yesterday afternoon, no idea what she was doing there, and she still hasn't returned. Could something have happened? I remember in our past life, my sister was too proud of her beauty and noble birthright to ever venture into dangerous places like the back hills. On the day of the selection, she woke at dawn to adorn herself with extraordinary splendor. She even vowed to become the white tiger's rightful wife. She's still not here. Could she have been reborn too? As I pondered how to deal with my sister's potential rebirth, a phoenix's cry echoed through the sky, greeted by a chorus of birds. Dozens of celestial maidens in crimson robes could faintly be seen amidst the clouds. Recalling my past life experiences, everything suddenly became clear to me. My younger sister truly reincarnated and even saved the phoenix deity. Chapter 022, just like in my past life. I feared my aunt would be mistreated after my departure, so I ventured to the cliff behind the mountain to gather more medicinal herbs for her future needs. Little did I know, I'd encounter a wounded phoenix with broken wings by the riverbank, injured by the demon lord. Witnessing his overwhelming divine power, I was compelled to cultivate together with him, hoping to grow stronger so I could protect my aunt in the future. To my surprise, he absorbed my spiritual energy to regain consciousness, then proclaimed me his savior. He plucked a phoenix feather as a token for me, then summoned temple stewards to prepare the concubine inauguration ceremony. The next day, he intercepted the airship bound for White Tiger Mountain and proclaimed me as his concubine. No fox maiden had ever married a divine lord before, let alone a bastard child born to a concubine like me. Becoming some powerful demon's mistress would have been a blessing in itself, now that I was to be the divine lord's consort. The elders could barely contain their joy. They'd have delivered me straight to his bedchamber that very instant, yet behind the Phoenix clan's radiant glory lies a well-kept secret. Every Phoenix child must be born through baptism by fire. The mother must endure sacred flames' torment during childbirth. Only 1 in 100 mothers survives the ordeal, hence the Phoenix clan has few descendants. This explains why the Phoenix Lord's primary consort remained childless all these years, not incapable, but unwilling. After all, as a divine serpent goddess, the primary consort needn't endure such hardship. For a lowly fox spirit like me to bear a phoenix was a divine blessing. After successfully delivering the phoenix, the divine lord elevated me to equal consort status, granting me the privileges of a principal wife. The Timsha goddess raised no objection. After all, who would compete with a mere breeding vessel for favor? Now this blessing has been stolen by my younger sister. I'm absolutely overjoyed. The phoenix-drawn chariot descended from the sky, surrounded by dozens of feathered fairies escorting my sister and the Phoenix Lord. All the fox elders knelt in reverence before the assembled crowd. Phoenix Lord Zeke kissed my sister's forehead. Pearl truly has a heart as pure as the moon, such a kind soul to risk her life for me. From this day forth, you shall be my royal consort. I knelt humbly among the crowd with bowed head, sensing my sister's gaze lingering upon me. As I slightly raised my head, our eyes met, her triumphant expression meeting mine. I lowered my head even deeper in apparent reverence, though the corners of my lips curled ever so slightly. Finally got rid of that blessing. Chapter 3033. The Phoenix deity's concubine ceremony far outweighs the White Tiger demon's bride selection in importance. After deliberation, the clan elders decided to keep our ship of fox maidens to prepare for Pearl's imperial concubine coronation ceremony. But then my sister suddenly pointed at me, her eyes brimming with provocation. Moon cannot stay, her name clashes with mine, it's inauspicious, better gift her to the White Tiger at once. How ironic, I was her benefactor in our past life, yet she loathes me to the core. Terrified I might steal her position as secondary consort, the clan chief nodded obsequiously. Get out of here already. Must you stay and make a nuisance of yourself? I was dragged onto the airship by the entourage. Passing by my younger sister, she suddenly snapped, who allowed her to wear red? This is my wedding celebration. Her wearing red offends my sight. A mob rushed to strip off my crimson outer robe, leaving my hair bun askew. Never have I suffered such humiliation, yet my sister burst into laughter seeing me in such disarray. She looked down at me kneeling on the ground. Dear sister, the White Tiger is but a crude beast unworthy of fine grain, dressed in undergarments for the selection. You might just suit his vulgar taste and become his concubine. Playing dumb, I replied. Then I thank you, little sister. May you soon bear the Phoenix God's offspring. May you soon experience the agony of being burned alive that I endured in my past life. The Phoenix Lord overheard my conversation with my younger sister. He approached and studied me like some curious trinket. How amusing, a bastard elder sister and legitimate younger sister, both named Pearl, Moon, and equally beautiful. My sister clenched her fists at the Phoenix Lord's words, her brow furrowing as shadows darkened her eyes. Her voice came out sickly sweet. True, but what a pity elder sister was born with that unlucky white hair. Albinism might be hereditary, you know. She's spouting nonsense, ancient texts say. The graceful white fox with 9 luxuriant tails brings prosperity to the household when taken as bride. Those who obtain a 9-tailed white fox shall have flourishing descendants. I'm clearly an auspicious sign. In fact, it was only after my birth that my mother's circumstances improved. That's how I got the name Moon, meaning the celestial body surrounded by stars. When my sister was born, the first wife spitefully named her Pearl to provoke us, signifying she was the treasured moon in our father's heart, a worldly gem. I wore only undergarments, my figure clearly outlined. The Phoenix Lord's gaze lingered on my full curves, his throat bobbing as he murmured, "What a waste." Waste of what? That this pretty face and fertile body can't bear your children. The Phoenix bloodline struggles with fertility. Besides the principal wife of equal status, they keep hundreds of concubines. Any concubine who births a phoenix heir gets promoted to principal wife. This damsel saving the hero charade was also orchestrated by the phoenix god. Only after becoming his principal consort did I learn he descends every 5 years to deceive naive maidens, making these deceived women willingly bear his children. After all, only 1 in 100 potential mothers can survive the divine flame trials. He could only gamble for a chance with sheer numbers. That lecherous look he just gave me, was he trying to find an excuse to claim me? I should thank my dear sister for taking the bullet for me. I turned away, refusing to look at that disgusting couple, boarding the airship, heading to White Tiger Mountain stronghold, gazing upon this vast, unbound wilderness. My future path shines bright before me, now freed from motherhood's bonds, armed with exorcism arts. Can't I fight for a better future for myself and my aunt? As for that legendary brute by who will cross that bridge when we come to it, frankly, it'd be better if he doesn't get selected. Chapter 404. The airship descended, revealing hordes of beast women gathered outside the stronghold. Countless beauties from rabbit, snake, leopard, avian, and aquatic tribes queued up for the selection. They watched as I disembarked alone in my undergarments. The women pointed and whispered, "Those fox tribe folk truly have no shame, sister. It's not even dark yet. Why are you undressing?" If I went out like that, I'd die of shame on the spot. Ignoring their jeers, I quietly retreated to the farthest corner. I carefully sifted through memories of my past life. All we know is that the White Tiger Demon Lord came here a century ago to claim this mountain as his domain. At first, everyone thought he was just some minor player. Yet he proceeded to subdue formidable beasts like the Shadow Wolf, Hydra, and Black Bear Spirit one after another. There are even rumors that his combat prowess surpasses that of celestial deities from the upper realms, hence all neighboring factions sought to recruit him. But this white tiger appears disinterested in carnal pleasures, never taking wives or concubines. It wasn't until last year that they began widely announcing their intention to select a bride through a mortal world talent show. His temper seems rather foul too. My sister from a past life once said he's prone to violent outbursts and losing control. With his impossibly finicky personality, wave after wave of women attended the selection, yet none ever met his standards. Lost in thought, I suddenly saw a serpent clan maiden come running out of the house in tears. How utterly humiliating. Wah! The other 2 snake women embraced the sobbing girl, comforting her while carefully inquiring what exactly had happened inside. Through her tears, she whimpered. The moment I entered, he took one look at me and yelled, "Get out, I don't like hairless creatures." Hearing her words, the hairless beast women waiting outside, snake folk, mare folk, and others, all visibly paled. The koi fish woman gathered her sisters. "Let's go, girls, that white tiger might be powerful, but he's got no respect for women. Why should we line up to be insulted?" With someone taking the lead, over half the crowd dispersed instantly, leaving only scattered rabbit, bear, and leopard women. But the situation wasn't much better. Women kept emerging in tears. How dare he say I stink, that my scent was wrong. He called me dark-skinned and said he prefers fair ones. He said my tail was stubby. Sobs. Listening to the women's weeping, I glanced down at my plain undergarments and broke into a cold sweat. I dreaded to think what humiliating remarks my appearance might invite. But then it occurred to me, the worst that could happen was going home empty-handed and enduring my sister's mockery again. Hardly a devastating loss. Who knows, this misfortune might prove a blessing. I could avoid marriage and childbirth altogether, devoting my life to protecting my mother instead. With this realization, the weight lifted from my shoulders, and I set forth unburdened. Chapter 5. Upon entering the chamber, a chaise lounge stood at the center with a man reclining upon it, receiving a head massage, though the drapes hung before the lounge obscured clear view of his features. "Is this the last one for today, my lord?" "This is the last one, a 9-tailed fox maiden." "Oh, a 9-tailed fox." With that, he rose and drew back the curtain to approach me. "Do all fox maidens dress like this? That underrobe choice, splendid. You've successfully caught my attention." He squinted at me. "A 9-tailed fox, that scent seems familiar." "Familiar scent? Does he enjoy sniffing foxes?" What's your name? Moon, Moon. So familiar. I let out an awkward chuckle. Common name, I guess. Now say mommy for me. What? I looked up at him, his handsome features scrunched up. Just say it already. Mom, mommy. Babies are meant to be kissed. Say it already. Babies are meant to be kissed. I struggled to speak, wondering inwardly, do all impotent males resort to such perversions? His eyes narrowed in pleasure. Yes. That's the right flavor. You're the one. From now on, you'll sleep beside me. A sinking feeling hit me, but I could only nod in resigned acceptance. Just as my sister warned, this white tiger has no manners. He actually chose me. No wedding ceremony, not even a proper title, and now he expects me to sleep with him, sitting on the bed. I stared at this towering man with growing trepidation, yet he suddenly nuzzled his head against my chest, tiger ears popping out. Quick, pet me. I obediently stroked his furry head, stroke after stroke, until he fell asleep in my arms. Even letting out contented little purrs, my anxious heart finally settled. Turns out he's truly impotent. What a relief. From then on, though nominally his white tiger wife, I essentially became his human cat scratcher. Life became manageable, until one night, he transformed into his true form, a white tiger, and pinned me down. His amber eyes turned blood red, his entire demeanor becoming terrifying. His tiger claws lunged at me, shredding my clothes. I sensed a demonic aura and tried to channel my spiritual energy for closer inspection. When my spiritual vision activated, the sight before me made my blood run cold. The white tiger was shrouded in thick demonic energy, the black miasma congealing into a gelatinous substance that encased its body completely. If we don't purge this corruption soon, he'll lose all consciousness and become nothing but a mindless killing machine. The first to suffer will be every beast within a 100-mile radius. His notorious temper was likely caused by the demonic energy corrupting him. Thankfully, I've been diligently practicing arcane arts since my rebirth without slacking. As I recited the incantation, spiritual energy surged through me, that familiar sensation returning. Spiritual power crept like vines across my palm. Steeling myself, I reached toward his tiger paws, white chi intertwined with the black miasma. The dark demonic energy seemed to recoil from the pure white spiritual aura. Continuously retreating and dissipating, he transformed back into human form, and through my efforts, the demonic corruption had receded from half his arm, restoring his jade-like skin. The white tiger, nicknamed Tyrant, narrowed his eyes contentedly, then impatiently pulled my hand toward his head when I paused my movements. Standing at 188 centimeters in human form while I'm only 162 centimeters, the momentum of his pull pressed me flush against his broad chest. Having never been intimate with any man except Phoenix, I flushed crimson with embarrassment, avoiding his gaze as I teetered on tiptoe to shift away. Oblivious to my discomfort, he tightened his grip on my hand, forcing me to stroke his head until red marks bloomed on my pale wrist. Whether from the relief of dissipating demonic energy or pure contentment, he suddenly shifted into his white tiger form. My fingers sank into thick fur, and I couldn't resist extra strokes, earning a rumbling purr and a lazy tail flick. The once terrifying tiger tyrant didn't seem so fearsome anymore. Alas, my spiritual energy was limited. After dispelling some of the demonic aura, I felt my power waning, and the white tiger before me blurred into double vision. In my dazed state, I only remember floating among clouds, fluffy, warm cotton-like clouds, drifting endlessly through the sky until I finally awoke, unaware of how much time had passed. When I opened my eyes, I saw a maidservant excitedly calling out to someone outside the room, Divine Lord, the White Fox Maiden has awakened. Divine Lord, wasn't I at the White Tiger Mountain stronghold? Lying on the bed, I carefully surveyed my surroundings and realized the layout resembled the Phoenix Temple from my past life, only more magnificent and refined. Upon hearing of my awakening, a dense crowd came pouring in from outside. Congratulations, White Tiger Divine Lord. The White Fox Maiden has awakened. Lord White Tiger, could he truly be the legendary divine beast by who, an existence more revered than the phoenix itself? But why would the White Tiger deign to dwell in this mortal stronghold? Chapter 606. You're awake. Before me stood a man of peerless beauty, sharp sword-like brows beneath starry eyes, a straight-nosed bridge, lips red as roses and teeth white as pearls. Clad in white armor like a general, it was the White Tiger Kairos. Where am I? The White Tiger Sanctuary. I am Kairos, the White Tiger deity. You exorcised demons for me until your spiritual energy was depleted. The Celestial Sanctuary's aura is potent. I brought you here to recover, but once you're healed, could you, he stammered, if you can cure me completely, I shall grant you the position of my principal consort. I wronged you by not holding our wedding ceremony in the mortal realm. Perhaps I should. Why do men these days think marrying someone is a way to repay kindness, as if being someone's wife is some great privilege? After the suffering in my past life, I've no intention of casually marrying and bearing children again. What's the difference between the white tiger deity and the phoenix deity? Men are equally worthless across all realms. I quickly interjected, no need. After healing you, I'll return to the Fox clan. All I ask is your promise that when I come seeking your aid in the future, you'll honor my request. When I declined his proposal to become his principal consort, his face flushed and tiger ears popped up. Fine, be that way. I wasn't planning to marry anyway. Forget one wish, I grant you three. Come to me whenever you need them fulfilled. His ears instantly flattened back as he glanced at me awkwardly. You should rest now. I've got matters to attend to. Turns out the white tiger deity isn't as awful as my sister made him out to be. He's actually kind of adorably clueless, maybe slightly better than the phoenix, who knew he'd barge into my chamber at night trying to share my bed. I gave him a firm rejection. Didn't you promise to let me return to the Fox clan? Why are you trying to sleep with me now? We're in the celestial realm. If you sleep with me today, by tomorrow the entire upper world will know I've been with the white tiger deity. How could I ever return to the mortal realm? Who'd dare take me in? And what of your fearsome reputation? Slept before marriage isn't exactly a glorious title. He shot me a wounded lip before storming off in a huff. After recuperating at the temple, I grew restless and invited a young palace maid to stroll through the celestial gardens, though we unexpectedly encountered my sister Pearl surrounded by attendants, adorned with jeweled hairpins and flowing silken robes that gave her the air of a celestial consort, while I wore only plain garments with a simple silver hairpin. Her expression darkened instantly at the sight of me, bristling like a cat whose treasure I'd stolen. How dare you set foot in the celestial realm? You're Zeke's kept woman, shameless harlot. She lunged at me, but my handmaiden threw herself between us, outnumbered. We were quickly overwhelmed. When she drew a golden hairpin to stab me, I clutched my maid and screamed Kairos' name. Her arm froze mid-strike. Kairos, the white tiger deity's sacred name. You've seduced the divine white tiger. No, impossible. The white tiger deity has been in seclusion for a century and only returned days ago. How could a bastard like you possibly be connected to Lord Kairos? Clutching the golden hairpin, she glared at me with venom. Just like your mother, the most cunning vixen of them all. She stole my father, and now you dare try to take my husband. Today, I'll carve that pretty face of yours to ribbons. Stop this madness. Kairos stepped in front of me, knocking the golden hairpin aside, his face dark as storm clouds. Who dares harm what's mine? Chapter 707:7. The younger sister gave Kairos a once-over and sneered. Nowadays even the lowest riffraff can waltz into the celestial realm. A mere tiger spirit like you should stay in your mountain lair. Trespassing here is punishable by death. I'll summon Zeke to arrest you immediately. Phoenix Lord Zeke arrived with a thunderous expression after receiving the summons, but the moment he laid eyes on Kairos, his demeanor flipped like a Sichuan opera mask. Bowing deeply, he pleaded, "Forgive this insolence, elder. This is Pearl, my newly wedded concubine. She failed to recognize your eminence. I shall discipline her properly." The younger sister looked incredulous. "He's just a lowly tiger spirit from the mortal realm. You foolish woman can't recognize true divinity. This is the white tiger deity from the celestial realm." Kairos raised a disdainful eyebrow. "Who gave you permission to call yourself Pearl? With that attitude, you'll be called Xiao Xiao from now on." The younger sister protested. "How dare you think you can rename me on a whim?" Zeke shot a commanding glance at his sister Pearl, his tone dripping with authority. "Aren't you going to thank the white tiger deity for bestowing this name on your knees? Are you waiting for our senior to condemn you?" Pearl reluctantly dropped to her knees, but Kairos shoved me forward instead. "Apologize to her." The younger sister resisted, looking desperately at Zeke for help. "Zeke, your sister now belongs to Elder White Tiger. How dare you frighten her? You should be apologizing. Why are you looking at me?" With tear-streaked cheeks, she reluctantly bowed her head in apology. Anyone watching would have thought I was the one who bullied her. I shoved the young maid forward. "Your people beat her, and you nearly stabbed her. Kowtow to her, and we'll consider this matter settled." Fury blazing in her eyes, she sprang to her feet. "A mere palace maid deserves my kneeling." My sister always plays the status card, oblivious that the Phoenix Lord sees her as nothing but a 1% broodmare. Aren't we all just lowborn in the end? Before I could speak, her beloved Zeke slapped her across the face. A sharp slap rang out, leaving both me and Kairos speechless. My sister covered her face, tears welling in her eyes as she stared at Zeke with wounded expression. "This worthless woman knows no manners. She'll face household discipline." With that, Zeke dragged my sister Pearl away. After the two walked away, the white tiger blinked its big eyes and said, "He actually hits women. What kind of man does that?" I shot a glance at Kairos, thinking to myself, "Weren't you the one who abused my sister Pearl in your past life?" Back then, she'd send me voice messages and sob her heart out in front of me multiple times. I couldn't bear seeing her get beaten, so I asked Zeke to intervene and bring her from that den of wolves to my palace. Little did I know she'd been watching me bask in glory day and night, green with envy, plotting to take my place all along. The audacity. She hooked up with Zeke while I was in confinement, then spiked my tea with poison that left me bleeding from every orifice. Now this wife-beating white tiger Kairos stares calls Zeke, that social climbing cockroach, unmanly, pot calling the kettle black much, sensing my disdain, his tail lashed anxiously. Sure, I love brawling, but I've never laid hands on a woman. Test me with a truth spell if you don't believe me. I've got standards. Who is it that pinned me down in the middle of the night and nearly tore my clothes off? Seeing his adorable little tail, I decided to let it slide. The white tiger deity would never stoop to such vulgar behavior. I believe you. Little did I know I'd be proven wrong that very night. According to the palace maid, the white tiger deity went berserk after drinking a cup of tea. He wounded the guards and fled to who knows where. Chapter 8088. Impossible. I've spent days with white tiger deity Kairos and already purged most of the demonic energy from him. Things were supposed to keep improving. How did it suddenly spiral out of control? Having spent so much time in close proximity to Kairos, I've grown quite familiar with his scent. I followed the scent to find the white tiger deity, but instead stumbled upon a little kitten in the celestial garden. The moment it saw me, it started meowing repeatedly. I couldn't resist picking him up, and he stretched out his pink little paws to knead my chest. I studied his white fur and the tiny king character on his forehead. It reminded me of Little White, the white cat with a king mark I found at home years ago. I tentatively called out, "Little White, is that you, Little White?" He actually meowed back at me, "Mommy's good baby indeed, mwah." So it was Snowball all along. No wonder I couldn't find him after scouring the entire back mountain when he went missing. So this is the divine beast belonging to the celestial lord. I carried Little By everywhere searching for the white tiger, even visiting his stronghold in the mortal realm, but couldn't find him. With no other choice, I headed home and fell into a deep sleep holding Little By. In my drowsy state, I felt a fuzzy little head nuzzling against my chest. When I woke the next morning, I found myself embracing a boy with tiger ears. Upon closer inspection, it was Kairos. Little By had vanished. My heart skipped a beat as realization dawned. Could Little By actually be the white tiger deity? A cold sweat broke down my back after finding Xiao Bai in the nether. I used to cradle him day and night, cooing, "Whose little baby is this? Why, it's Moon's precious baby. Such a squishy little bun deserves to be smothered with mommy's kisses." The memory of that selection day resurfaced. Was he actually choosing a bride to find me? I quickly nipped that arrogant thought in the bud before it could turn into wishful thinking. I nudged Kairos, but he refused to get up, clinging to me. "You're my cure." What kind of cringy pickup line is that? "You'll sleep with me every night from now on. Name your terms. I don't sell my body." He suddenly transformed back into Xiaobai's kitten form, kneading and purring at me. "After sleeping with you last night, the demonic energy in me vanished. I've had this headache for centuries. Have some mercy on me." Men's words are as deceitful as ghosts. When I activated my spirit vision to check, I saw only a wisp of demonic energy clinging to him, like a sheer black veil wrapped around his body. Who could resist a teary-eyed kitty's plea? I reluctantly nodded. His tail wagged joyfully as he pounced on me, licking my cheeks. Maybe sleeping with a purring ball of fur isn't so bad after all. Chapter 099. Ever since Kairos discovered that sleeping with me could dispel demonic energy and cure his headaches, he's been clinging to me every day. He'd present me with all sorts of delicious treats and fun things like offering treasures. That night, there was just a single pillow separating us. "Just so we're clear, I'm saving you here, so don't get any ideas." His tiger ears twitched slightly, the tips tinged pink. Watching those fluffy ears sway near my face, I couldn't resist giving one a playful pinch, realizing what I'd done. I guiltily jerked my hand back. Kairos blinked his big eyes expectantly. "Why'd you stop? It seems more effective when you give me a little squeeze." I pretended to be unmoved, though I was practically itching to pet him. He transformed back into a cat, tilting his head just over the pillow to invite ear scratches. What could I do with this cunning little fur ball? Of course I had to pet him. The next morning, Kairos' body crossed the midline and pinned me down. I shoved him away angrily. "You're crushing me." A faint noise came from outside the door. From then on, the temple maidens treated me with unusual reverence. They must have misunderstood something. My sister came to visit me unannounced today, bringing a pile of gifts with her. Beware of Greeks bearing gifts. I welcomed her in, curious to uncover her ulterior motives. Rubbing her belly with a smug look, she boasted, "Zeke dotes on me. We spend every night together. He says all those temple girls are cheap trinkets compared to me, now that I'm with child." He showered me with every treasure under the sun. See this basket of luminous pearls he gifted me. I used them as marbles, thinking how frugal elder sister remains with only that plain hairpin after wedding the white tiger lord. I thought to share one with you. Holding my teacup, I flashed a perfectly practiced smile. Darling, you didn't come bearing pearls, you came serving piping hot tea, didn't you? Her face darkened. How sharp your tongue has grown. I came in genuine kindness. Really, sister, those drab robes and that single hairpin, men do grow weary of such dullness. So you're sharing bed and board with the white tiger deity daily, yet still have no official standing. How disgraceful to be used and discarded like some plaything. Even your mother, lowly as she was, at least held concubine status, she preened, adjusting her coiffure with a handkerchief in that sickeningly innocent manner of hers. I wondered what that overpowering scent of artifice was. Turns out our distinguished guest has arrived. Caro sighed her sister disdainfully, rolling the luminous pearl between her fingers. This is what passes for treasure. Zeke's truly scraping the bottom of the barrel. Isn't this the sort of trinket you'd toss to servants? He casually produced an even more exquisite mermaid pearl. Now this is what you call a real pearl. What's that trinket of yours? My sister's face darkened. You jest. Divine Lord, my Zeke treats me exceedingly well, though of course we common folk could never compare to your exalted status. Good that you know your place. Don't bring your junk around to bother my wife again. Wife, since when did I become her wife? Since when did my sister become your consort? How come I wasn't informed? You're merely a fourth-rank Divine Lord's concubine. What business is it of yours? Why don't you go manage that husband of yours with his 100 concubines? I just saw him drinking by the spirit lake with some palace maid in his arms. Care to take a look? My sister's face turned beet red. Abandoning her tea, she hurried away with her maids in tow. Chapter 10. Since that day, my sister never dared to cross the threshold of the White Tiger Hall again. I was feeling rather bored when Karos mentioned the spirit lake to me that day, so I took my maids to go boating on the spirit lake, hoping to catch some excitement along the way. Before we even reached the shore, a dark whirlwind suddenly erupted from the lake, swirling outward at terrifying speed. This black whirlwind feels strangely familiar to me. In my dazed moment, Karos transformed into a tiger and charged toward me. He grabbed both me and the palace maid in his jaws, tossing us onto his back. 1,000 years ago, along with the other 3 divine beasts, azure dragon, vermilion bird, and black tortoise, we sealed the demon lord beneath Spirit Lake. For millennia, countless demonic spies have infiltrated the upper realm attempting to free him, yet none have succeeded, for reasons unknown. The seal has weakened today. Stay within the temple, both of you. I'll gather the other divine beasts to reinforce the demon lord's imprisonment. Just as we reached the White Tiger Hall's entrance, we encountered a group of guards clad in multicolored armor. Lord White Tiger, disaster. Our azure dragon sovereign has fallen to demonic madness. Lord White Tiger, calamity. Our vermilion bird sovereign has succumbed to demonic frenzy. Lord White Tiger, catastrophe. Our black tiger sovereign has been possessed by demonic rage. I helped the little palace maid dismount from the tiger's back, then stroked Karos' nape. Take me to see the other 3 divine lords. The white tiger remained silent for a long moment before growling. What, planning to sleep with all 3 of them? The nearby guards lowered their heads in embarrassment, not daring to look at either of us. What are you thinking? I have a method to exorcise their demons, but it requires your spiritual power. My cultivation isn't strong enough to activate the exorcism array. Got it. Leaving right now. We hadn't gone far when I saw the 3 divine lords, shrouded in dark energy, heading toward the spirit lake. Mounting my white tiger, I swiftly changed course. By then, the celestial army had completely surrounded the spirit lake, using formation arrays to suppress the demon lord. I leapt off the tiger's back and drew an exorcism array. While ineffective against the demon lord, it could restore corrupted spirit beasts to their senses. Taking position at the array's core, I felt the white tiger channel spiritual energy into me from behind. Countless silver vines erupted, ensnaring the 3 divine sovereigns as radiant spiritual energy clashed against dark demonic power. The light gradually gained dominance, just a bit more and the demonic corruption would be completely purged from the sovereigns. A phoenix's cry suddenly echoed behind us, but neither the white tiger nor I paid it much mind, assuming it had come to aid in subduing the demon lord. To our shock, the phoenix's divine flames came rushing straight toward us. The white tiger shielded me, its back scorched by the sacred fire. Yet it refused to release its grip as it continued channeling spiritual energy. Focusing all my will, I completed the final exorcism ritual, restoring the 3 divine beings to their senses. The white tiger's guardians took positions at the 4 cardinal points of the spirit lake's formation core, reactivating the ancient array. At this critical moment, the phoenix deity flew into a rage. With their dwindling numbers, all 10 remaining phoenixes simultaneously attacked the 4 deities to disrupt the formation ritual. Following the phoenixes came the avian legion and demonic warriors. Defeated celestial soldiers retreated toward the spirit lake when a panicked shout rang out, "The southern heavenly gate has fallen. The Phoenix clan has allied with the demonic forces to stage a rebellion." In an instant, 100-mile radius around Spirit Lake was bathed in blood, the air thick with agonized wails. Kairos commanded me, "Guard the four of us in meditation. Once the demon lord is subdued, his army will collapse without their dark energy sustenance." I extended 4 silver vines to shield the quartet, preventing demonic corruption from disrupting the ritual array. In the end, the demon lord was vanquished, and both the Phoenix and Dragon clans were subdued. The white tiger, gravely wounded and drained of spiritual energy, transformed into a kitten and slept in my arms. Lord Vermilion Bird struck the Phoenix clan's leader. "After all the effort I spent helping your kind ascend to the heavens, you dare collude with the demonic path. Is this how you repay me?" Phoenix Lord Zeke spat blood. "Ascend to the heavens, only to what? A mere 4th-rank divine title? Our proud Phoenix lineage must bow and scrape before every celestial official up here. The demons offered me a 1st-rank demon lord position. Is it wrong to seek greater heights?" What's even more infuriating is that white tiger deity Kairos repeatedly humiliated me for some lowly fox spirit, poisoning my concubine's mind until she miscarried. That child was the Phoenix clan's first heir in 5 centuries. He was the only witness to my frolic at the Spirit Lake that day. Had he not tattled, my concubine wouldn't have confronted me, we wouldn't have argued. I wouldn't have pushed her accidentally, and my child would still be alive. His eyes blazed with fury. Were our positions reversed, that cur would never dare treat me thus. The Vermilion Bird clutched his chest in anguish. Blind fool that I was. "Guards, execute him and bury the carcass in the frozen wastes." "Hold, divine sovereign, let me deliver the execution instead. My Tingsha clan knew nothing of this treachery. I shall slay my own husband to prove our innocence." The Phoenix lunged at Tingsha with murderous intent. "You venomous witch." Tingsha smiled sweetly. "Dearest husband, did I ever mention how long I've endured you?" The blade flashed, a phoenix head tumbled, collected by guards into an ice casket for delivery to the frozen wastes. Chapter 11. The White Tiger and I retired after fulfilling our mission. Day and night in the temple, I cared for Kairos, who had transformed into a cat, but he never regained his tiger form. The celestial realm mirrors the mortal world, complete with 4 seasons. In spring, I'd groom his fur and craft felt cat dolls from his shed hair. I carved him ice sculptures in summer, making him the happiest cat in the celestial realm. In autumn, I took him to admire falling leaves and wove him a straw wreath. Come winter, I knitted him sweaters and kept him warm in my arms under the blankets. Gradually, I forgot he was the exalted white tiger deity, and I, just a lowly fox maiden. That day, while searching for Kairos, I stumbled upon the sacred brazier again by accident. There I saw my sister with disheveled hair. She lunged at me like a madwoman, screaming, "Where's my child? Where has my child gone? It was you who killed my child. You're just jealous that I can bear the Divine Lord's child. The Divine Lord promised to make me his bravest concubine. Just leap into the sacred pyre, and my child shall be reborn from the ashes. You're coming with me." She dragged me toward the nearby sacred pyre, ready to jump. The little white creature in my arms let out a fierce roar as it transformed into a massive white tiger, pouncing on my sister. Undeterred, she lunged at me again, desperate to drag me into the fiery pit with her. The white tiger clamped its jaws around me just as she missed her mark, sending her tumbling into the divine flame altar. My sister's agonized screams echoed through the flames until her very soul dissipated like smoke, vanishing into nothingness, just like her shattered dreams. The white tiger Kairos gently set me down, his amber eyes glowing like winter sunlight, filling my heart with warmth. "I'm back. How have you been?" Out of habit, I reached to pat his head and pulled out a fish treat, only to freeze mid-motion. This wasn't the little white cat I could casually pet anymore. He was now a lofty divine sovereign, like the Phoenix sovereign. He'd have a noble-born principal wife and countless concubines. "You no longer need this humble caretaker." I knelt down, paying respects to the white tiger deity. Furious, he flicked his sleeve and stormed off. I couldn't fathom his anger when I'd shown nothing but reverence. I returned to the palace and began packing my belongings for the journey home. At night, when my arms felt empty, I groped around until my fingers found that familiar furry little head. Thinking it was just a dream, I held him tight against my chest. "Snowball, it's not that mommy doesn't want you. It's just that memories of my past life make me terrified of marriage and motherhood, especially when the one I love is an aloof celestial being." The cat in my arms suddenly transformed into a tiger-eared youth, bare-skinned, his striped tail coiling around my wrist. I buried my face in the blanket, refusing to look, wondering why I was having such an erotic dream. Then I felt the tiger-eared boy tenderly licking my body with slow, deliberate strokes, like a bashful turtle retreating into its shell. I surrendered to this sensual dream, planning to slip away unnoticed afterward. After I left the fox clan with my aunt and settled in a mountain cave, outside the door, I spotted Xiaobai again with a spray of crabapple blossoms in his mouth. "Mommy, take me in, please."